Okay, all right.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
Was
the webinar.
um well, the webinar was good, but the reading that where that I really enjoyed was when you, I guess that also pertains to the webinar, when you stop, just stop and, you know, close your eyes. And I mean, as I was reading it, I was doing it, and it helped. You know, so I just can imagine when it's time to really do it, when you're stressed, just stop, think about your breath, think about breathing in. I love the idea of thinking about, calmness, even if you have to think of the water. I mean, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that. And like I said, reading it even calms you down when you're reading it, and you're actually, you can actually feel it happening. Thinking about your breath, and if your mind, it even says, if your mind drifts, bring it back. So it was good. I'm definitely going to use that one and put it into practice.
Yeah, I loved
That
that.
was
I loved both of, like, the two videos that we had this week. The one that my friend Deborah did, that she talked about stop, challenge, and choose. So
yes,
I
that
liked
was
that one, and it was, to me, stop, challenge, and choose is something for me that I like how Deborah gave her example with the root beer floats there, how it was like a real life,
good
oh wait,
there.
this is a
Yeah.
real life thing right here. Because for me, I can always be very logical and say, when I'm not in a tense situation or when I'm teaching someone else, and say, oh yeah, just stop and take that deep breath and, think about what you really want. But sometimes when you're in that moment, even if you stop and you think about it, you're like, oh, that limbic system brain just goes crazy saying, no, I really want that root beer float. And then you start to rationalize. Have you ever done that? Like, you start to rationalize and say,
Yes.
well, but a root beer float's really not that bad, and I'll just have a little one, and it'll just
Yes.
be this one time. But then what does that one root beer float always lead to?
Leads to
Well,
something else.
already messed up, so I might as well just have something else. And now I'll have a cookie with my root beer float, but if I've already had one, I might as well have three. And so with that one little thing,
It's
it starts a snowball effect when you.
snowball.
So that's what I find. So I really thought that was powerful to use that and say, hey, let's really stop and use some of those techniques. Like she said, taking a deep breath and, just relax for a minute, walk away and distract yourself. Because, when you're really in it for a big goal, and even if you're not, like, even if you're just in maintenance and you don't have a big goal to reach, if you let yourself start making those poor choices again, until you can get to that point where you can really say, yeah, this, one little small root beer float, and you can look at your whole week and say, yeah, look, that's the only thing I've had this whole entire week. I'm okay to do that, sure. And when you can reach that, where you can mentally be so aware of your choices and why you're making them, then that's really what we're aiming for, is that mental state. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. But when she was explaining that root beer float, I could have had one with her. I
Exactly.
could have definitely went to the root beer float.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do. I also really do like the stop, challenge, and choose. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned that several times to Kathy, that was in the challenge last time, and I still talk to her very often, and not wanting her to get back into old habits about the stop, challenge, and choose, because I do remember it from the last challenge, and it's definitely something that needs to be reminded every single time.
Yeah.
The stop, challenge, and choose. Yeah, and the water.
Yeah.
It, to me, was so important that I'm still drinking my 80 to 100 ounces a day. I try to put in 100 ounces,
Yeah.
no less than 80.
Yeah.
And I did see that somebody from the last challenge asked about it in the team room, that we're not getting points for it this time. But even though you're not getting the points, it's still very important to continue with the
Yeah.
water, because I see they're giving you breathing points. So that was from the last challenge also, and I'm not sure if everybody from this challenge is realizing that it's the 10 breaths, the 10. and the ins and the outs, and they're getting. So I'm not sure if they're understanding what they're clicking on when they say, "Did you do your breathing today?" Or if it was something that was explained to them in one of the readings, because I don't remember seeing it. But that's also highly important, and just taking all of this in and taking it forward. Doing it every day, and just reminding yourself how important it is. And all of these little bitty tips help the whole day.
Yep. And that's really what it's about, is taking all of those things and actually putting them into practice, because it's one thing to do them, and that's why they have us get on and do them every day in the challenge, because what I try and do as a health coach is teach all those habits of health. We call them in our system, Dr. A's habits of health, and that's where they come from. In teaching all those things that say, hey, here's your habit of drinking water. Here's your habit of eating those small meals 5 to 6 times a day. Here's your habit of balancing your proteins and carbs. Here's your balance of taking that quiet time, to take your mind and really make those mental switches. So it really is what it's all about, is taking that and taking it forward so that we have those for lifelong habits, and not, okay, I'm going to exercise or drink water or whatever habit it is we're focusing on for this week or this day or this challenge. Really making sure that that's a lifelong change. And, being a health coach, I've taught a lot of people about these things, and I've done it a lot myself, and I've had, come and go myself with it when I'm better at things and worse. One thing I've found, because I have to participate as a coach, I participate in all the challenges, and every time we do them, it gets a little bit easier for me to stay on track, is what I found. And so the more you put that focus, and then they bring it back, and you bring it back, and you bring it back. So there's some things that just, once you do them anything long enough, it's going to put that good habit into play.
Good habit. Yes. Hold on, my dog is knocking.
Yeah.
My dog, I have the door closed, and she's knocking to come in.
Like, oh yes. She wants to be on the webinar too. So.
She doesn't stop knocking until you answer.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, the one last thing that I listen, you can hear my children as they run past me in the background.
Not a problem. They're having fun.
Yeah, super fun. 2-year-olds do that. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about is really writing down, and I know I've talked to some of you about this before, the people who are my clients, I know I have, and some of you from the last challenge I have, but to really, when we're talking about mindfulness this week, and not only taking that quiet time for our brain, but also to take the time to focus ourselves and focus on what our goal is. So write down what your goal is. Like, there's something about actually having things written down on paper so we can see them that makes it more real to us. So writing down what your goal is, and not just, I want to lose my 5%, or I want this number on the scale, whatever it is for you, but really writing down, the why. Why do you want that? Like, why is it important to you to lose that 5% or that 10 pounds or that, whatever your goal might be? What does it mean to you? And so by that, I mean, does it mean that your clothes are going to fit better? Does it mean that you're going to be able to go to somebody's wedding and wear a certain outfit? Does it mean you're going to be able to go and play with your kids or your grandkids? Or you're going to be able to hike and enjoy things with your family where right now you can't? And so I want you to visualize what you want your life to look like. That's the biggest thing, is saying, what do I really want for myself? Do I want to have energy? Do I want to have, do I want to be able to do these activities with my family? Do I want to be able to, I remember somebody told me one time that they wanted to go zip lining, but they couldn't because they were over the weight limit for that, somebody that was my client. And another one said, I have a boat and I just want to be able to go out boating and wear my swimsuit and not be embarrassed. And, I've had people say, my family hikes all the time and I want to be able to go do that with them and not feel like I can't breathe or that I have to sit down and I'm holding them back. So, everybody has a different thing, and if there's a time in your life when you remember feeling like that, write those things down. Like, write down those feelings somewhere that you can see, read through them every day. And then if there's something that is a tangible thing, like whether it's a picture of the clothes you want to wear or the actual outfit, put it there, try it on every week or every, keep that motivation going. Take a picture of something, maybe it's a picture of your family, your grandkids or kids that you want to play with. Maybe it's, a certain thing that you're going to reward yourself with if you reach your goal or whatever it is, but so that you can visually see that. And then the more that you can see something, the more that's where your focus is, instead of, oh, I can't have a root beer float. And when your focus is on, I can have this great life and all of these great and wonderful things, that becomes a lot more powerful than I can't have a root beer float. So the power is where you give it. So when you can make that mental connection there, then that is so powerful, because then you've made that switch and you're like, yeah, that root beer float might be good. I might want to eat it, but I'm not going to, because it's not nearly going to be as good. I told one of my clients that said, nothing is as good as being healthy or skinny or whatever it is your goal is, feels. So if your goal is to be, whatever your goal is, that root beer float is, or whatever it is never going to taste as good as reaching your goal, Phil. No matter what your goal is.
Yes. And healthy. And healthy. Yes. Even, people that are on medication, health takes you off of the medication,
Yeah.
And saves money, because medicine is expensive.
Yes, it is. Yep, I've helped so many people on our program who were on numerous medications, high blood pressure, cholesterol. My dad actually did the program. He's one of my clients, and he lost like 30 pounds. And so he lost it because the doctor said, if you don't, then you're right on the verge. You have sleep apnea, you have high blood pressure, you have borderline high cholesterol. We're going to put you on all of these medications. And he said, okay, I don't want that. So he came and he said, I want to do something different. And he did. So.
Good. So that's definitely, that's a goal. Definitely a goal.
Exactly. So. And so if that's your goal, like if you have medications, then I no longer take diabetes medication. I no longer take cholesterol or high blood pressure. It's so possible. So possible.
Good.
All right. Well, Anne, is there anything else you wanted to share tonight?
I'll accept your challenge.
All right.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I'll accept that challenge, and I'll make a log.
Okay. And anybody else watching at home, that's my challenge to you. Write down what it is, visually put it somewhere. Let's read it every day, and that's going to get our team where we want to be. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.